finally, Denise, talking about the translating bullying research into policy and practice.
Finally. What we learned from this panel is that all of our work, our good work to develop effective bully prevention interventions will be for naught if we can't ensure that they're implemented with reasonable fidelity on the ground and if they're sustained over a long period of time. So the speakers in this session talked about what are the characteristics of programs or practices that would elevate the likelihood that they could be implemented with high fidelity. Luann talked about things like having attractive and user-friendly packaging, making sure that there's good solid training and technical assistance available for the practices and so forth. I see these as sort of the low-hanging fruit. These are the easy things to fix. More challenging but equally important is building a local infrastructure in the community that has the capacity to select evidence-based practices that would work in their community or potentially work in their community and delivering them with fidelity. So Luann also talked about these characteristics, things like strong leadership skills, administrative support, presence of a program champion at the local level, and so forth. We heard a couple of different models for how to achieve that or to increase that capacity at the local level, the Communities at Care model that Abby Fagan talked about, and the advice about developing effective partnerships at the local level that Hendricks Brown talked about. And so that's important to develop that capacity at the local level. Another point that was raised by the speakers in this session was the importance of monitoring implementation and feeding that information back to the local implementers. The idea about providing data pressure, Abby talked about this as a major component of Communities at Care. Hendricks talked about how that might be sort of streamlined to make it more possible to do at the local level. This ties into something that Ginny Dolan mentioned in the later panel where she was talking about how powerful it was to provide feedback to the schools about the average level of fidelity at the school level, and especially if incentives could be tied to that. Another idea I think that was important that Hendricks raised was that we'll probably get better support for implementing or delivering broad-based programs as opposed to more narrowly based programs only targeting bullying. So to the extent that we can identify programs that address the risk factors for a variety of different problem behaviors, we get sort of more bang for the buck and probably more buy-in at the local level. And so, lots of the programs that we've talked about throughout the last couple of days, programs to improve school climate, programs improving the clarity of norms at the school level, improving discipline management. These are all efforts that would be beneficial across the board, not just for bullying, and we might be able to get more support for those. Well, let me just say, in terms of gaps, most of what we know about the effectiveness of interventions, bully prevention interventions, comes from studies in which the developers are pretty highly involved in delivering the program and studying it. So I think a big gap here is that we need more studies of scale-up attempts. We need to know more what kind of effects do we get when these programs are delivered in more realistic settings. We just need a better sense for the typical benefit that would accrue to these programs. Thank you.